All right, everyone. It is week 2, day 2, the day before the exam. We're going to discuss the exam rules. We're going to do some review. We're going to be reviewing all day. And at the end of the day, we're going to be doing code reviews, lab and code reviews. So this is a time for you to bring in an assignment that you would like me to critique you on, to help you with, something you struggled with, so that you can get that polishing of the edges that you need to complete the exam, right? So you want that critique that will help you become a better coder. So bring a challenging assignment to this code review, okay? So let's see here. This is almost filled up. I have 2 slots left that we can work on. Kobe and I will be doing these code reviews together. So fill this up. If you haven't entered in, you need to do a code review before tomorrow taking your exam. Today's the perfect day to do it. The day before the exam helps you really visualize anything that you've missed. And welcome back, Kobe, everyone, by the way. Nice call, Josh. So Kobe's back. He's here to help us. We'll be working with him if you have any questions, and me as well, outside of our exam times today. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about our exam rules. All right. So we're going to talk about what the exam expectations are, and then we're going to do the exam prep, so that when we're doing the prep, we already know the criteria that we're supposed to meet. We're meeting that criteria as we're working. Okay, so let's do a little bit of, let's go over the rules, and then we'll start our review. Whatever we don't finish this morning within the hour, we are going to pick up this afternoon, okay? So we're going to take everything we've learned from day 1 of Web Fundamentals all the way until now, and we'll be able to build a website tomorrow. So we're going to give you a wireframe that is a blueprint for a website, and it's going to be a lot like some of your assignments, like Dojo Weather or the profile page. So let's go over the rules. Okay. So here we are. Let's read these one by one. Okay. Rule number 1 is to communicate with me. All right. Communicate with me before the exam, what you're feeling nervous about, what you don't understand, that you feel like you need to be able to pass. Communicate with me today. All right. Don't leave it as a mystery, that this thing that you're struggling with for when you're taking the exam, and then you have to do a retake. All right. Talk to me, talk to Kobe. Let's find out your weaknesses so that we can get those strengthened. All right. Communicate to me during the exam as well. If you get stuck on the exam and you feel like you're banging your head against the wall, you can ask for help during the exam. Okay. We'll go over what the procedure for that is in just a moment, but I want you guys to be communicative with me. Now, the requirements to take the exam is to have 90% of your core assignments complete. And for Web Fun, that's all 7 core assignments. So you need to have them all complete in order to be able to take the exam. Now, that doesn't mean that if you don't have your core assignments complete, that you should stay up till 4 a.m. tonight and work on to get all 7 done so that you can do an exam attempt tomorrow, because then you're going to be burnt out. You're not going to have the rest you need. Okay, so get them done within a reasonable amount of time, but don't think that staying up all night working on them is going to get you a good exam attempt tomorrow. It's a 5-hour exam, so you're going to need a fresh mind, rested mind. So you need to do that. You need to complete a code review. So code review with myself or Kobe, and we'll We already saw the schedule. We'll be doing that today. Okay, so this are the requirements to take the exam. Now, for procedures on the exam, it's going to start first thing in the morning tomorrow. We're not going to do an algo sesh tomorrow morning. This is going to be the one day that we don't do it. We're going to focus on the exam. And if you are not ready to take the exam, for example, if you have not done all 7 core assignments, then you'll be in a breakout room working on those for the duration of the day. Okay, you're going to be in your own study room. You won't be able to talk to anybody in the exam rooms. Exam room people won't be able to talk to you. Okay, but for the rest of us that are taking the exam, we're going to start it first thing in the morning. I'll give you guys the code to get started. Doesn't mean you have to be ready to, hit the ground running at 9 a.m. But this is when we're going to be, convening together and then being able to distribute the code. And what I mean by code is I will send it a message in Discord. Actually, it will be not in Discord. It will be on Zoom. Okay, it'll be in Zoom with these 2 things here, the exam instructions and the exam code. Okay, so I'm going to send some more instructions and the exam code. So there's a code that I'm going to give you that's going to be able to unlock the exam. I'll show the exact steps you need to complete for that. It's going to be a lot like your programming basics exam code where I sent it to you and then you just enter it in that special space. Okay, so it's going to be a lot like that. Myself and Kobe will be in the Zoom room as usual, just like when we did the programming basics exam. And so you guys need to ask us for help, right? If you need it. There's going to still be that 8 to 9 a.m. Mountain Time morning office hour. Take advantage of that because we won't be doing that much review in the morning, right? So office hour, you can always access through the calendar at the very top, the very center of the blue section here. You can access your office hours from 8 to 9 and 2 to 7. Okay, but 8 to 9 is when you're going to want to take advantage of it if you're going to do it tomorrow to do any review. Okay, so take advantage of that TA Hall Zoom hour. Okay, so the next line here says the time is the final, this time is the final prep for the exam. So yeah, 8 to 9. Eat breakfast, drink your coffee or your tea, whatever you have to do to get your mind in order. Don't, wake up like 10 minutes before you start the exam and, stumble your way into it. Have that mental prep. You put your game face on. You're going to step into a 5-hour exam. This is going to be a lot like your possibly your first exam interview, where you will get an assignment. Your assignment sometimes to interview and a test may be 5 hours, just like this exam, maybe a couple days, or maybe just a test they will give you on the spot. It may be a couple-hour test. So this is going to be a usual thing for you as a developer, right? To get through the gate, you need to be able to pass that exam. So it's going to be a 5-hour exam. Be ready, okay? Get mentally ready, physically ready. Set your alarm so that you can get those things done before you start. Okay. You also want to set up your exam folder. Okay, so what do I mean by this? Let me pull up Visual Studio Code so you see what I mean. Oh, here it is. Okay, I'm already on it. So let's look at this here. I have index.html in this folder here. I just have a hello world. I have my link tag for my CSS and my script tag for my JavaScript already there. Okay, I have my JavaScript created. I have a hello world console logged, and I've affected the H1 color so I know that it's connected. This is what you want to have ready and done before you start the test. You can always connect your files, do that little extra bit of work, shave off some time that you would have to do this while you're in the exam. So do this before the exam. Set up a folder and files that are already connected so you can just start to code, right? You don't have to build these folders and files with unique names. They can always be called index.html, script.js, style.css. You have an images folder ready to start importing the images that they may give you, okay? So have that all set up. Have it all tested. Make sure the connections are there. Make sure you are able to affect that H1. And then when you inspect your page, you should be able to see that console log that says hello world. If you don't see it, then your JavaScript is not properly connected, or your CSS is not properly connected if you don't see that color change, right? So test those connections. You'll be surprised how many times I myself, as a now a couple years seasoned developer, will forget to do simple thing like this, and I'll be scratching my head like, how come my CSS isn't working? It's so simple just to miss a step like that. So do these steps, cover it, and get that ready before you start your exam. Okay. Now you have your exam, and all right. So I'm going to give you the code at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, but I'd like you to enter the code before 10 a.m. So once you have the code, you can start when you like. You cannot start unreasonably late, like 11:30 a.m. You've already failed if you started that late, okay? You need to start it within the hour that I give you that code. You can start at the moment I give it to you if you're ready, okay? If I give you the code and you need to like suddenly take a restroom break, or get outside to get some air, that's what the code is in your hands for. So you can start when you're ready, but start within the hour that I give you the code. Okay, like I've mentioned, the exam is 5 hours long. The timer starts when you enter the code. You guys know this. You guys have done this with programming basics. The exam starts when you input the code. You must stay on the Zoom call the entire time you're taking the exam. Don't leave the Zoom call until you've been graded and have spoken with either myself or Colby. All right. And even if you, let's say you're taking the exam, you feel like you're going to fail, and you know that you didn't pass, don't worry about that. You have to meet with us anyway. We have to figure out what happened during your exam take and how we can help you to make your next exam take better. So don't leave if you feel like things are not working out the way you had anticipated. We need to convene with you. We need to meet with you so that we can figure out your score and let you know how you can improve it the next exam take. Okay, so don't leave until you meet with us if you're taking the exam. And even if you're not taking the exam, be on the same page as us, the instructor, me and Colby, about where you are in order to be able to take the exam. So what assignment you're on, what you need to do to complete that assignment. We want to know so that you can complete your exam. All right. So stay on the Zoom call with us that entire day, whether you're taking the exam or not. All right. You must be in a private breakout room. So you must be in the room by yourself. You cannot let other people join your room or join other people's rooms. You can't join or jump into my office. You have to call for help through the Discord chat, okay? I don't want you guys jumping around for any reason. If I notice in the Zoom meeting, like the rooms, that there's more than one person in an exam room that's not me or Colby with you, that's going to be really suspicious, and it's going to raise some red flags for me, okay? Don't do that. All right, you won't need your camera on, you won't need to have your mic on, you won't need to have screen share on while you're working, but you must be present, okay? So that means if I jump into your exam room at any time, I should be able to, say, hey, are you there? And you should be there, okay? It doesn't mean you can't step away for 5 minutes at a time, and I may, ask if you're there, and you may be gone for that. There's a chance that you have to do that, and that's encouraged, right? Get up and take a break if you have to. But for the most part, I should be able to catch you if you're in there. Okay, so attendance. On the exam day, there will be no afternoon session. As you can see, the whole day is blocked off for the yellow belt exam take. Okay, this whole day is for the exam. Now, where was I? Okay. There will be no afternoon lecture or session. Non-exam takers, I will post a Discord message for you to react to attendance, but we'll also check attendance at the same time that we would normally check attendance. So we check attendance for you guys at 9, at 10, and at 2. So we're going to have a Zoom room open for you non-exam takers. Hopefully there's none, but you will have your own study room and we'll check in on you on those times there. So be present at 9 and 10 and 2, but ideally you should be there working the entire day on whatever assignments you haven't completed in order to be able to take the exam, in order to be eligible to take the exam, okay? So you have, if you are taking the exam, you are present the whole day. Also, if you are not. Yeah, if you're not taking the exam, I should be able to, drop in and say, hey, what part of which assignment are you on, so that I know how close you are to being able to take that exam. All right, you have 3 exam takes. But as you can see here, there's lectures for all the other days, Thursday, Friday, and all of next week. There's projects and stuff that we'll be doing. So we really want to take advantage of this day that we're not doing anything else but the exam. Be eligible to take the exam tomorrow, okay? Because you're going to miss some really great lectures. They're going to help you on the future stacks, on the Python stack. You want to know how to use an API, what it is, or use the terminal and use Git through the terminal. You're going to want to know what Bootstrap is and how to use media queries, because all of these things will help you with your personal project next week. Okay, so this is the exam day. You want to prepare for this. You're allowed 3 exam takes, but ideally you want to take it and pass it tomorrow on your first attempt. All right, so that being said, if you don't pass it tomorrow on your first attempt, you still have the other days, right? So don't panic. You still have a couple other days to take the exam. It's not the end of the world. I know it feels horrible. I failed my first yellow belt exam. It didn't feel good, but you take it again and you pass. All right. Last day to take the exam is Friday. Okay. The exam will ask for a zip file submission and a video. You only need to submit the zip file. By the way, I'm going to be posting this exam instructions on Discord if you need to see this file. Okay, this exam will ask for a zip file submission and video, but you will only need to submit the zip file. So just like you submitted your programming basics exam, you're going to take that folder that has your code in it, and you're going to zip it up. That's going to include your HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and your images folder. All right, you don't need to submit a video. All right, I already said that. Right, for this one here, I used to be able to be really lenient to say, hey, I'm the instructor, not the timer. So if your timer fails you, like if you pass the 5 hours and you just need a little finishing touch, that you could still submit it, but I can't do that anymore. They are really strict in policy now, and I cannot extend the time. Okay, so I'm gonna just like run a line through this or something. So I don't want you guys to think that I have that flexibility. So let's delete this line here. The timer is the boss. Okay, once the timer ends, I cannot help you. I cannot submit your exam for you anymore. Okay, so make sure you submit your exam before the timer ends. All right, I'm going to emphasize this a couple times. Set a timer for yourself. So if you have 5 hours, set a timer for 2.5 hours on your phone. Okay, so that you know you're halfway through. You look at your work, you have to think, okay, Am I halfway through where I, expect to be as far as this exam is, or am I stuck on something? Am I just only 10% through it? What do I need to stop doing to just get the big picture covered? Am I working on the detail too much? Okay, so set a timer for halfway for 2.5 hours. Set a timer also for 4 hours, and then also 4 hours and 50 minutes. So you have that like 3 timers, one for halfway, one for 3/4 of the way, and then one for right before you have time to submit. Zip it up and submit it, because if you don't, even if you're like done and you don't zip it up and submit it before the time, I'm at a loss, and we're both just going to be dumbfounded, because it's like, we both tried, to do it, but no, you have to submit before the timer's up. So then we can grade you. Okay.
Josh, I have a quick question about that.
Yes.
Say you've got like 20 minutes left. You're pretty content with what you're working on. Can you submit something and then go and try to like tidy it up, and then say you figure it out, you can upload it again? Or say you don't, you say you run out of time, you're just like, all right, well, I tried.
Well, it's a bit, yeah, I think it will allow you, but it's a bit rough. So I would just try to set that timer for 10 minutes before the exam that will lock you out from submitting, so that you just put those final touches. I mean, if you find a final touch you can add on the last minute, maybe if you're able to maneuver it somehow, but no, I would just save that final submission for your final product.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, that's usually how it is in the workforce. Like, you have that final submission, even if you notice a little mistake, it's like, oh, it's gone. You can't do it. I will not penalize the time spent waiting and the help and grading. So you submit your exam before the timer, then you'll ask for us to grade you so that you can get that grade result. But that time that you're spending waiting for us, that's not time penalized against you, right? It's just the timer to submit the exam, and then we'll grade you once you're ready to be graded after you submit. Okay, so all grading is done live in Zoom. You guys know this. Please let me or Colby know when you're ready to be graded. Do this by saying in Discord at Dojo Josh. That will ping me, all right? That'll alert me, and this will alert Colby if you tag our names like this. And then you let me know I'm ready to be graded in room X, whatever room you're in. Then we'll go to your breakout room and grade you there. Okay. So grading is not a submission. So you have to submit your exam, not just be graded by us. So submit, then be graded. Okay. So just because we grade you doesn't mean that's a submission. Rubric is out of 10. We're going to go over the rubric. I'll show you guys where you can view the rubric yourself. You'll need an 8 out of 10 to pass. Points after 8 do not matter except for a personal challenge. Always aim for a 10 though. Don't just meet the minimum. Don't just meet what you think would be an 8. If you have extra time, work to get that 10, because there's been I've seen some attempts where people are like, oh, I've done 8. I have an hour left, but I'm kind of lazy. I don't feel like working. I know I got an 8. And then you grade them and they get a 7.5, and you're like, dude, you had like an hour, you had another hour, like, please, you could have used that time. Just put that finishing touch so that we're not like, as graders, like kind of compromise on the edge, thinking, oh, well, I could pass, but I know that if it worked a little harder, I could see that. No, get a 10, aim for a 10, right? Aim for what's that saying? Aim for the stars and you'll land on the moon. So the moon is the 8. So 8, aim for a 10, and then you'll be happy if you do get that 10, right? You'll be all the more happier. You'll feel accomplished. We'll be proud of you as well. So aim for a 10, please. Now, how do you ask for help? Same way you're going to alert us to be graded, all right? Ping us by saying at Dojo, then my name, and then Colby and his name. And then you can say, I need help in room X. For whatever reason, if you're stuck on just, hey, I can't find where to download the zip, even though I entered the exam code, we'll help you, okay? Or if I'm stuck on something and I don't know if I'm able to ask this question, just ask. tell us that you need help. We'll go to your room. We'll figure out what is you need. Maybe there's something wrong with the exam and we don't know it. Okay. Usually that's not the case, but we always, are here to help you. We're not going to ignore you. All right. Do not send a direct message on Discord to ask for help, because Discord doesn't alert me the same way as it would as if you would to do it this way, like at Dojo me and then Kobe and then I need help in room X on our channel. Okay. Don't direct message me. I know it's like not so like easy to ask for help when you're asking in front of everyone else compared to when you're sending me a direct message. I know, but you can't do it this way because sometimes I don't know whose screen name on Discord, and Discord just doesn't ping me this way. Okay. But ask your question. Don't be shy to ask your question. If you need help, ask for help. Okay. That's also a common thing where, how do you say it? Like just habit most companies want their employees to have, the question askers, right? Like, don't just be silent, working solo here on yourself. Don't worry if we cannot answer or not, let us decide, ask anyway. All right. So that's what I'm trying to let you guys know. The 20-minute rule, asking other cohort mates for help, that's forbidden. Okay. Don't do that. Cannot do that on the test, because then that would be cheating and that would eliminate it from being a test. Okay. All right. So don't ask for help from your cohort mates, only from me and Colby on the test. Do not wait for clarification when you are waiting for a question to be answered. If you can, move on to the next problem that you're able to tackle on your exam, the next part of the web page. All right. If you don't know how to do something, don't get hung up on that detail and waste valuable time asking for help. Have that as a back burner. I don't know how to do this, but can I work on something else? Okay, then go ahead and work on that thing. Or don't get stuck on one specific thing. But if you do need help, and you do have to wait, see what else you can do in order to problem solve. Okay. Don't just burn time. Work on the big picture, then work on the details. Okay, work on the big picture, then work on the details. So don't get hung up on a tiny detail, on a tiny snag. How come I can't move this thing a couple pixels to the right, like 5 pixels, when you have a whole page that you could work on, that the assignment doesn't depend on that 5 pixels being moved or not. Okay, so don't get stuck on tiny details. Work on the big picture. All right, and I should add something else. Do not ask any AI tools for help. Okay, AI tools, don't ask them for help, or else that would be cheating as well. How to get to your exam. All right, so let's go to your exam. Let's go to your learn dashboard here. Oh, this is not what I need to go to. Let's see. Let's just go to any link. Okay, here I am. Here I am on the Learn dashboard. This is our normal platform view, right? You would just go to this tab here, take exams on this nav bar, click it. Then you will enter the code that I give you there. Okay, you'll enter it there. And then when you enter it and then click unlock and start exam, that's when the timer starts. That's when the timer starts for your exam. Okay, now, once you unlock the exam, you will see a couple things. I can't unlock it or else I'd be showing you an exam, but you'll see a couple things. I'm going to show us the practice exam that I'm going to be working on so that you guys can sort of visualize what I'm going to be trying to explain here. So let me pull it up. There it is. Okay, so you'll see a couple things. One, you'll see a wireframe, and by wireframe, I mean something like this, an example of what the page should look like, okay? You'll see a wireframe, and then below the wireframe examples, right, you'll see some instructions on what the JavaScript would do. So for example, clicking join will remove the join button. So that's one JavaScript feature. That's a description, an instruction there. Clicking any of the up arrows will increase the total up votes on each post. So clicking the up arrows. So that's an instruction on how a JavaScript feature should work, right? You'll also see a GIF below this. The GIF will show the JavaScript features in action. So it will show an animation of someone clicking the join button and then it being removed from the page, and then clicking an up arrow and you seeing the likes increase. So this would be an example. This would be visualized in a GIF below the wireframes. There may be a slight difference in the visual of the GIF and the GIF's view of the web page and the wireframes view of the web page. What I want you guys to follow is the wireframes view. Okay, so if there's any difference in the GIF and the wireframe, follow the wireframes way of doing it. Okay, so this one, I used to have an old senior engineer. When I ever asked her, so which one do I follow? Is it this one or this one? She would always tell me the one that's corrected. This one is the Bible, all right? So this one is it. So this one is the one you have to do it. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. So she would always say that expression. So this one here, this one is what you guys are following, the wireframe, not the GIF. Okay, if there's any difference. So she would, she would say that phrase, and I would always be like, okay, right. So how do you get to the exam page? Open the Learn dashboard. All right, we already went over this, didn't we? Okay, now what is on the exam? You're recreating a website. So this is a wireframe of a website that you would be recreating, something like this. And I would have 3 JavaScript features. So this one has 2 so far that we can see. There's a third feature. I won't show you guys that yet until we're actually working on this, but you need 3 JavaScript features. All right. And I went through the exam rubric. So let's go through that now. Let's go through that again. Okay. Let's go through it in detail now that we can understand the rubric. Okay, let's go through that. Where am I? Here I am. Okay, exam rubric. So in order to view the exam rubric, I'm going to go to the JS chapter here, and then I'm going to scroll down to the yellow belt. So if I click this here, I can click this, scroll down, and see the rubric. This is the rubric that I will be using to grade you guys. So let me go through each requirement and the weight of each requirement that we're going to test you on. Okay, so the first one is we're checking if your HTML has been validated. So what I want you guys to do is to bookmark this so you don't have to spend time searching it. Okay, bookmark this page on this tab. All right, so I'll paste this again in the chat right now so you guys can bookmark it. This is where you will validate your code. So you will take your HTML, all right? So you'll go, for example, I'll take this HTML here. I know it's not much, but I would show you guys how to do it. Copy your HTML, paste it in here, check it, and make sure there are no errors. It should have that green here saying document checking complete, no errors or warnings to show. So I should have something like this. Check it yourself before you submit and before we grade you. All right, such an easy one to miss, but people do miss it. So where was I? The exam rubric. Here I am. code has been validated. So validate your code, make sure you don't have any errors in it. So that means extra stray closing div tags or opening div tags or divs that are interlocking or chained together that way, or if you have divs with multiple elements having the same ID name, or any sort of improper formatting in HTML that would cause an error, or even HTML formatting that doesn't cause an error, but it's not good HTML syntax, this will catch it, right? This validator will catch it. So use this validator because it's worth half a point. Now, the next half point is a pretty easy one. All files have been included in proper format, and you must include images as well. So what that looks like is this, for example. I'm just going to use this as a reference. So reveal in Finder. Wait, let me just open this here from here. So give me a second. Let me just open the folder so I can show you guys what I am looking for you guys. To submit. So your exam should have in the folder name the images with the different images, the images folder with the different images in there, your HTML, JavaScript, and your CSS. Okay. That's what I should see in there. So that's what that point is asking. All my files have been included in the proper format. So here I have 3 files. They're in the proper format because I have JavaScript written in JavaScript, HTML written in HTML, CSS and CSS. They're all within this folder, the exam folder, and also having the images in the images folder. So an easy half point there, having all the images in the proper format and having my images in my image folder. And then I'm going to check the overall quality. So I'm going to ask you to show me your page. You're going to, right click and open with live server, or whatever way you show your page. You can copy path and show me the path. Okay, so I'm going to ask to view it, and then I'm going to give an estimate out of 10 of what I feel that you would have earned. And a way to get a good feel for how strict or loose that I grade is by the code reviews that we'll be doing. Okay, so the code reviews will let you know how my discretion is. So that's why we want to bring in an assignment we struggled with, so that I can grade it, and I'll tell you during the code review, hey, this is pretty good. During the exam, I would give you maybe an 8 out of 10 for this point. So I'm weighing this point. I'm giving you a point. So it'll be a full point for a 10 out of 10 of quality. So I'll give you half point if I feel like, okay, this is half done, half baked. All right, so this one is weighted on my discretion. Now, then we look at your HTML, CSS, and then JavaScript individually. So for HTML, I am checking for 1 point, I am checking that all content, text, images, and assets is present to align with the wireframe. So I'm looking at your HTML, I'm looking through all your elements, and I'm checking that the text, the images, and all the assets that you would use on your page are that I can see them as I would see in the wireframe, as I would see in the example image like this, right? I would want to see them in your HTML file the way I would see this stuff on the page, all right? Do I see a nav bar with the image in it that has that header tag and then an input and goes? Do I see this stuff as I see it on your HTML, right? It should be there. So that would be an easy 1 point. Now for quarter point, if you applied the correct divs, text, lists, tables, media, forms, and basic structure. So quarter point is just that you named a header tag. So this would be a header tag, and so would this. And this would be a paragraph tag, and that this would be a button. So did you correctly name all the elements on the page the way that they should be understood on the wireframe? Like, is this an image here? This little cat picture, is that an image on your HTML? If so, then that would have passed. Okay, so that's a quarter point. That's an easy one. Implement best practices for source code readability, such as indentation and comments. Now, this is half a point, but this half a point, if you are indenting and writing good comments on your page, and I'll be doing this during the belt exam prep, so you guys can see what I mean. And I want you guys to be able to show me this on your belt review. Show me that you put comments dividing your HTML into different sections for readability's sake, for your sake and the readability of other developers, right? Because if I'm reading your HTML raw and I'm just reading it by the class names, it's really hard to read. So you want to write comments saying, this is the header section. You know, and give me that visual green divider of each section, major section on your HTML page. So for example, when I'm looking at this image, tell me in a comment where the nav ends and begins, where this section ends and begins, where the main content in the center, where it ends and begins, this corner piece, this first post, and then this post. Give me some comments to section out that in the HTML so I can know when I'm looking at the skeleton, I'm knowing where I am in the geography of your code. So I'm not just guessing and straining my eyes to read the whole thing, okay? So if you do this one, this practice here of putting comments and sectioning out your code it will seem time consuming at first, but really it's going to help you stay organized and structured as you work. Okay, it's just like keeping your kitchen clean as you cook. If you keep it too messy, then things get disorganized, right? So best practices, indentation on your comments. That's another easy one. All you have to do is right click and format document, and it indents everything perfectly for you, right? So that's an easy one. Add comments and then right click and format document for indentation. So that's half a point. After that, we've pretty much finished checking the HTML. So then we want to check your HTML and CSS together. So when I'm reading your CSS, I am checking that the elements that you create in your CSS are on the same order and the same position as the elements that I see in your HTML. So for example, I'm going to pull the CSS to the right here. This H1 is here, right? So I see the H1 up top. I should see, for example, if I have an H2, okay, I should see the H2 below the H1 in my rules. So color blue, okay, so my H2 comes after my H1 in my CSS because my H2 comes after my H1 in my HTML. All right, if I add a look like this, where my H1 is somewhere below and my H2 is above, then this is disorganized. So as you create your elements on your HTML, create the selectors on the CSS so you have that same order. Okay, that's what that point is asking. Major components are appropriately positioned and placed in reference to other elements. So these selectors should be in reference to the other selectors in the same order that the elements are in reference to each other. And also for subsections, that they are appropriately positioned and placed in reference to other elements. So major components and subsections. So that covers everything. Everything on your wireframe should I should see the elements and selectors in the same order, top to bottom, on both sides. Sometimes you can't always make it perfect, but you get it as close as you can, right? Your elements and your selectors should be in the same order and relation to one another, top to bottom, for your major. So that's the big picture, your nav bar, your main section, and then the 2 columns here. And then also for the subsection. So that is the nav bars and pictures and buttons that we see here, the small details. Okay, so we should see both in the same order in reference to one another. All right, before I continue, any questions so far about anything I've covered as far as the grading? I'm just going to take a poll that we make sure that you guys are with me. I've been talking for a while. I'm going to keep going over the different exam point weight system. All right, looks like you guys are with me. Okay. Now, this last criteria that I'm looking at here, consistent use of color schemes. Now I'm just checking that, let's see the example for the wireframe here. Did you use a consistent color of red? If this is the same color as this red, is your red on your representation of this wireframe, is yours like deep red here and like pink here and maroon over here and like an orangey color over here? No, keep it the same color as you would see the pattern on the wireframe, okay? So it doesn't mean you have to match the colors exactly, color for color. Like sometimes, you know, it'll be a slightly darker red than the one available to you. Don't worry on the details. Just make sure that if you use a certain color of red that you're trying to match to the wireframe, that you're using it consistently, okay? That you're using the same color consistently. So it can be a slightly different yellow or orange than this go button is, but whatever go shade of orange that you choose, that's as close as you can get it, make sure you're using that same shade of orange for the button that's also the same color as you see on the wireframe, okay? Consistent color schemes. Consistent color schemes. So that's an easy point, right? Because you just use the color, you just copy and paste that color name or that hexadecimal color property. So consistent color schemes. And then also we want to check element spacing and styling, use best practices. So I'm going to make a big deal and cry and pout if I see you guys use these here, float or position, okay? There will be a certain test or a couple test instances where you may have to use position for the cookie. Like, you know how sometimes there's like a cookie message here at the bottom of the page where it says the message. And then if you click the button, then the whole cookie thing goes away. So that's the only instance where you would use that position, and it will specify for you, use position. All right. Otherwise, assume that it's a forbidden rule. Okay. Don't use position. We taught you how to use it so you're aware of what it is, not so that you could use it. Okay. Don't use position and don't use float, because I will dock you this point. You'll lose half a point if you use this. Okay. So beware of those rules or abusing them. Okay. That if we wanted you to use them, we'll specify that in the wireframe rules there. Okay. So avoid using position or absolute. Apply appropriate styling through CSS to text, that is the headers and paragraphs and form elements. So you want to apply appropriate styling through CSS. So the way that we style our CSS to text, headers, paragraphs, and form elements, we want to use the class selector, right? We want to use the class selector. Don't overuse the general selectors or the IDs. So we want to use the class selector to target our elements. That's all this is asking for. Apply appropriate styling. And also what I want to see you guys do is use flex. So what I want you guys to use is use the class selector and also use flex. Okay. This is the best way to get this full credit on this point. All right. And let's see what's next. CSS is applied through linking an external style sheet. So that thing I told you guys to do before the test started, which is to link CSS to your HTML just by writing this here. That's one easy point. We give you one freebie. Like that's a easy point, right? Just link your CSS and style your HTML through your CSS. And you have at least 1 point, right? The only way to miss this point is to style your HTML without using a CSS page and using the styling in the HTML. So if I see styling in your HTML, the way I showed you guys the first day not to do it, I just showed you guys to show you it was possible, but don't do it. Don't style in the HTML or you'll lose this easy point, okay? And lastly, we have 3 JavaScript, right? 3 JavaScript features that will ask you to implement. You need to do at least 1 to pass. Because you can get a perfect score on all this. And if you add this up, this is 7.5. So you need to have at least 1 JavaScript feature if you think you got a perfect score. So what does that mean? Like when we were doing the 8-ball challenge yesterday, if you are working on the 8-ball and you're working on just having a perfect CSS and HTML, but you miss the JavaScript feature, then you miss the point of the assignment, right? So this is the same thing. If you miss at least 1 JavaScript feature on your test, you will still not pass. You'll fail. You'll just pass with 7.5. That's as close as you can get. So make sure that you're using your timer to ask yourself, do I have enough time to implement the JavaScript feature that I need to implement to pass, right? So we'll be going over how to implement these JavaScript features still. I'll be doing this in the test demo, but this is what we're going to be doing, implementing JavaScript features in our exam. We need if you do all 3 and you finish all of these, you get a 7.5 on all this, and you do all 3, then you'll get a 10 out of 10. All right, so that's the goal. Let's do 3 JavaScript features in our exam. And let's continue with the exam review. So let me pull that up. I exited out of that. So 1 second here.
Hey, Josh, I do have a quick question.
Yeah, perfect time to ask.
So in terms of like styling and like creative freedom, do we have to use the colors and stuff that is given to us, or can we choose our own color palette?
No,
as
no,
long as it
stick
stays
with
within the.
No, well, try to get the colors to be as close as you can to the wireframe. Yeah, close as you can. I mean, that's a good question. Can I use my own colors? Well, you can for your own personal project, but imagine this as a job where you're given a task. We want you to do this. You're going to choose the color scheme that they would give you. So treat this the same way. But if you don't meet the color scheme exactly, like if you don't get the exact same color of red and you can't find it for some reason, then, use one as close as you can and just use it consistently. You guys don't have to download this, but I recommend that you do. I get this thing called Color Picker, that it's a Chrome extension. So you have to use Chrome. And then when you find the extension, Color Picker Chrome extension, okay? If you Google it, then you can get this first one, Color Pick Eyedropper. And so what I do is I just pick a color from the page. And for example, if I want this shade of blue, is there a way I can get that blue? I need something else with more color. What about this shade of blue on this box, this magic touch eye drop box here. There it is. And so I have it copied to my clipboard. So all I need to do is paste it. And then I get that color. So let's see here. Instead of this blue, I want to paste it. And there I get the hexadecimal color. And so if I open it, it's already open. There it is. Oh, no, hold on a second. Okay. There it is. There's that shade of blue. It's kind of hard to see, but it's there. Okay, so use a consistent color scheme. But if you want to get it exact, use that color picker extension that I just recommended. What's next? Let's go back to the belt discussion doc. Any other questions before I move on about the exam rubric? Okay, looks like we all understand. And if you don't, if you have any doubts later, feel free to just come in my room, bring it up during your code review. Okay, so this is the exam rubric. This is how I'm going to be grading. Kobe and I will be grading each one of you tomorrow. All right, so now let's talk about plagiarism. All right, what's plagiarism? Plagiarism is searching on Google or GitHub Coding Dojo Yellow Belt exam. Don't do that, right? You're gonna copy someone else's exam, and you're probably gonna get caught because we've seen lots of exams. We get to know you and your code through the questions you've been asking this couple weeks. And if we see something that's not like your work, then we're going to be suspicious, right? So don't do that. Taking someone else's work and submitting it as your own, that's plagiarism. When you talk with your cohort mates during the exam, that's also plagiarism. So don't do that either. So this is a solo exam. Solo exam. Don't use anyone else's help. Only ask for help from us, myself and Kobe. If you plagiarize, you'll be expelled. Plain and simple as that. What is it? What isn't plagiarism? You can use code snippets that you find online or portions of code that you had previously built. Or snippets of code from the platform or from my lectures. Okay, you can use the code that you find in my lectures during anything that you may have noticed that I used, that I pushed on GitHub that would work for what you're trying to do. Anything that you find in the platform as a solution, or even if you Google it and you find that code snippet that's going to help you, you can do that. Okay, so you can use Google, W3 School, Stack Overflow, websites like these. You can use the Learn platform, your own notes, your own assignments, my lecture code. You can use the code, and you can use the code we help you with if you ask for help, and we give you something to put in there, then you can use that little bit of code, okay? More on plagiarism. You'll get expelled, okay? You'll get academic probation if you plagiarize on your assignments, and in the industry, this will result in lawsuits, and you won't be able to prove to yourself that you can code, or to your employer, right? So this test is about proving to yourself, your cohort mates, to us, that you can code, right? So let's pass that test. Now, general advice, right? So this is just general test advice. Sorry, did someone have a question?
Yeah, sorry, Josh. I raised my hand up. I was wondering for the code, you guys bring up a lot of plagiarism and stuff, but how would should we reference it in the comments below that we took the snippet, or
Nah,
would that?
Don't worry about that. It's a snippet. It's so small. anyone can use it and it wouldn't be unique to anybody. Like, how do I get this div to center or something like that? You just, if you Google it, you find it on a result somewhere, just take it. You don't have to reference it. Everyone should know. If it's a snippet, it's a common knowledge. Does that answer?
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, don't worry about snippets. It's really not a big deal. Now, get some sleep, right? Like I said, don't stay up till past midnight working on your assignments and test review, whatever you're doing. Take small breaks from your computer. Whenever you get stuck, that's always a solution I found, that like you get stuck, you can't move forward. All right. Have a notepad that you can write on, that you can talk to yourself with, because you're your own rubber ducky at this point. And I found that when I had a notepad and whenever I was stuck, I would just write down what I'm stuck on and possible solutions. And then I just walk away, and then I come back and I read my notes, and then I'm able to see it with fresh eyes, and I'll have either like an epiphany, like, oh, that's what I need to do, or I'll just have a list of things that I need to try out. But you need to get away when you get too frustrated, or else you'll get into a frustrated state when you're trying to code, and you'll be so aggravated you won't be able to think clearly. So take small breaks when you need them. Okay, it's a 5-hour exam for that reason. You need to step away, use the restroom, just go outside to think for a minute. Okay, so take small breaks. Everything you need to know for your exam has been in your assignments and in the Learn platform. We won't throw you a curveball. We won't ask you to do something we haven't taught you how to do. So everything that we would ask you on the exam is going to either be already in your assignments or on the Learn platform. Okay. Don't watch the clock religiously, because then that's going to create a panic. You're going to waste your time that way as well. Set the timers like I told you, halfway through, and then at 4 hours, and then at 4 hours and 50 minutes, so that you have that reminder. Oh, I got to submit, or else I'm going to waste my exam take. Okay. So submit it even if it's not complete, because if you don't submit it, then you won't get a score at all. All right, set times, one for halfway through the exam, another one from when you have 1 hour left, and then I'll just add and another one for when you have just 10 minutes left. Okay, don't panic. This exam is just like an assignment. It just has a time limit, 5-hour time limit. Okay, think of it that way. It's just an assignment. You guys been doing these assignments, and now it just has a 5-hour time limit. Don't forget to ask for help. Again, that was rule number 1. Communicate with me and Colby. Set up your project folder. Okay, re-emphasizing this. It's going to save you some time and thought. Okay, set up your project folder. Make sure your files are properly named and connected. So test them. Test that connection. Make that H1 rule to color it red or whatever other color. And test the console log on your JavaScript. Make sure that your JavaScript is properly connected. And redoing your core assignments is a good way to practice, but I'm going to share with you guys this practice exam, okay? I'm going to share with you guys now, but what I want you guys to do is focus on getting the 7 core assignments done. If you've done them already, then you can work on your practice assignments, and then this exam is a level up from your practice assignments. It's on the level of your exam, okay? So finish your practice assignments. That is Dojo Weather. Once you finish Dojo Weather, then I would say you can start this practice exam. So make sure that you can do something like this first before you do the practice exam. This is slightly less difficult than what an exam would look like, but this is like 90% there, difficulty-wise. So I'm going to share this practice exam in the Discord. You guys can take it. Only work on it, though. Listen careful. Only work on it if you've done your 7 core assignments. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. Finish the core assignment so you can be eligible to take the exam, and then practice for it. Okay. So I'll go ahead and share it. And I think that's it, because we've been talking for another hour here. And so any more review, I feel like we're going to burn out. So what we need to do is then extend this, well, this belt review. What we can do, let's make it like, what time is it now? Now we'll just keep it at 2. We'll just have a fast review. It's going to be, or I'm going to be moving quick to cover as much as possible. So I'm doing like a 5-hour exam in 1 hour. So I'm going to try to do it fast, thorough, ask questions, and you guys will have the practice exam yourself to take a look at and try and analyze and diagram, right? So I will show you guys one thing that I will be doing this afternoon. Okay, so here's the practice exam. One of the things that I would do before I start even coding is to hold on a second, I'm trying to draw here. All right, got it. Awesome. All right, so I would section off this page. So this, for example, I would create just a blank colorful div for the nav bar. Let's see, where's my other colors? Oh, I got it. Nice. All right, here we are. All right, then I would create this main body area here, this main content section. And then I would, inside here, create this top portion. And then within this main content section, I would also then create this part of the body. And then within here, I would create 2 columns, right? One on the left-hand side and one on the right-hand side. So what that means is for this green div, here that contains the 2 columns, I would have to do flex on here. Right? I would have to do flex on the green container for the 2 columns. And then I would have to create all the squares within the columns. So let me do that now. So I'm going to redo this afternoon. I'm just letting you guys know as a preview so you guys can get into that frame of mind. All right, so then I would create the first post and then the second post below it. All right, that would be on the left column, and on the right column, I would create the about the dojo section and then the Discord section. I would make just big, giant, colorful blocks. So I would treat this as like we've been treating the flag or the PA Mondrian art thing that we did last Wednesday. So this, I would treat the exact same way. You have to cut up your page into sections as if it were a flag, right? So this is my flag. It would just look like this. So, oh, sorry, let me undo that. Okay, so now that I can remove this, so let's make this, let's see. Oh no, I can't do that. I want to put it on a black background. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this here is my first step. I would be creating this here. This is my first step, to create this image. I need to create this layout and then go into it and fill in the details. Okay, so this is like plotting your blocks, right? This looks a lot like plotting your blocks, or this also looks like just any kind of flag or art piece that we would have seen. We have to section it off into different areas and decide where are we going to apply flex so that the divs go side by side. Okay, this also is going to be 1,000 pixels. We're going to set this to be 1,000 pixels wide. Okay, we're going to set it to be a fixed width amount. All right, so this is what I'm going to come back to what I'm going to do now, in fact, is just screenshot this. How do I screenshot? Okay. So I'm going to screenshot this and reference this image this afternoon. Okay. So I've got it. Okay, I'm going to save it. All right, so we're going to come back to this afternoon and plot this out on HTML and CSS, and then fill in the details for the details, right? Like fill in, pulling it up. We want to fill in, you know, the header, the images, the buttons, all the so we can implement the features. But first we start with that big diagram, right? We put giant colorful blocks on the page, and then as we go into those colorful blocks and fill in the details, then we start to eliminate the background colors. Okay, so that's what we're going to do this afternoon. Let's go back to schedule so we can wrap this up. So we have our belt review this afternoon. We know what we're going to get into. We're going to start plotting the blocks for the practice exam. I will share that exam with you guys in case you have finished all your core assignments, then you can work on it yourself. And if you have finished your core assignments, you have nothing else to do for the day, you can set a 5-hour timer and work on this practice exam. Okay. If you have not finished, and I've seen most of you have not finished all 7 core assignments, that's what you're gonna be working on today. Okay. So work on that. Let's pass our exam, guys. So any questions?
I do have a question, but it's not really related to the exam. It's just something I need help with real quick.
Oh, sure. Okay. Did you want to join my office for that, or?
Yeah, that'd be fine. I think it'll just be real quick.
Okay, sounds good then. All right, so I'll stop sharing my screen. I think we're all good to go now. So let's create the breakout rooms and let's get to finishing our core assignments.